Today is Sunday, the 26th of Adar, and I am here in Las Vegas with Stan with us. We are almost at the end of Maseches Pesachim, Maseches Shkalim, starting this Wednesday, so a little bit of time still to catch up with just a few days left. We are at the beginning of the Mishnah, which is the end of yesterday's Amud. The Mishnah that started with one line from the bottom of the page. One line at the bottom of the page on Kuf Chav Amud Aleph, as we get to Kuf Chav Amud Beis today. And the Mishnah is talking about something that probably we have all experienced at some point in time in our life at the Seder, and that is the sugya of Yashnu Miktzas, and what happens if some people start falling asleep during the Seder. So if you start falling asleep at the Seder, what is the concern here? So says the Mishnah, Kulam lo yochlu. Everybody, Yashnu Miktzasam yochlu. If some people fell asleep at the Seder, yochlu, they can still continue to eat the Korban Pesach when they wake up. Kulan, but if they all dozed off, they all fell asleep. Well, we'll see dozing off in a minute, but they all fell asleep at the Seder. Lo yochlu. They cannot eat it. The Rosh Hashanah points out, well, what exactly is the concern? Why should they not be able to eat from the Korban Pesach at this point in time? So says the Rosh Hashanah, because since nobody is thinking about the Korban Pesach, and when they wake up, it is as if it is in Shnei Mekamas, which is a fascinating concept, that by not being aware of the Korban Pesach, and then waking up, you're the same person, but you're in a different place. You're in a different place, meaning because you went somewhere when you slept. Now you are somewhere else when you wake up. So kulam la yachlu, that nobody is allowed to eat it. Rabbi Yossi says there is a difference, however. Nisnamnu, if they dozed off, yachlu, then they can still continue to eat it. Nirdemu, but if they fell asleep, la yachlu, then they would not be able to eat it. And that is the differentiating factor here. Whether it is nisnamnu or nisnamnu or nirdemu. That is that's the difference. The Ramban points out here, he's talking about the first case of falling asleep. The Kamar Tanakama Yashin Miktsasum Yachlu. Va'ata lemeimar hanimili im nisnamnu. Aval im nirdemu afilu miktsasum lo yachlu. And this is the sheet of the Rashbam here, is that Rabbi Yossi is commenting not on the second phrase of the Tanakama, but on the first, that he's being machmer here. He's not being makel. According to Rabbi Yossi, if a few people fell asleep for real, legitimately fell asleep for real, those people would not be able to continue eating from the Korban Pesach, because for them, they have left. That's the understanding of the Rashba. Tosas disagrees. Tosas from before and disagrees. We'll see that a little bit later in the Gemara. Says the Mishnah further, HaPesach achar chatzos, Pesach after chatzos, v'tames yadayim, is going to cause tumah, is going to ritually impurify one's hands, meaning at the point in time that you can no longer eat it, and we'll see according to who in a bit, that would render the Korban Pesach, the Korban Pesach would be metame one's hands. Hapigul v'hanoisar, and if one had pigul and anoisar metame l'sedaim, those are going to be metame the daim as well. Says the Gemara as follows: Rabbi Yossi Omer. Rabbi Yossi said, let's understand this. Nisnamnu, if they fell asleep, yochlu, they can eat. Nirdemu, but if they dozed off, yochlu, they can continue to eat. Nirdemu, but if they fell asleep, for real fell asleep, lo yochlu, they cannot eat. So, what exactly does dozing off mean? What's the definition? Amar Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi, nim tir v'lo tir. He's asleep, but he's not asleep. He's awake and he's not awake. Somewhere in between. So what does that mean practically? If you call him, hey, so he'll answer, what? Yes. But he cannot answer back with reason, meaning he can't say anything logical back. He said to him, what time we got? I don't know what that. So that's called nisnamne. But when you remind him, midkar, he remembers. Meaning you said to him, aren't we leaving at 6? Oh, yeah, we're leaving. So he'll remember that, but he wouldn't be able to reason that himself. That in between state from awake to asleep, that's called misnamne. And then the Gemara tells the story here. Abaye have a Yosef come to the Rabbah. Once it happened that Abaye was sitting in front of Rabbah, and the Rashbam says here at the Seder. Nimne, and he saw that he was falling asleep. Amar, he says to him, Meinam kanoim mar. I see that you are falling asleep. Says Amar, he says to him, Meinumi ka menamnim. No, I'm just dozing off. I'm resting my eyes. Says Utnan, and we told in the Mishnah, Nisnamnu yochlu nirdemu lo yochlu. If you fell asleep, if you dozed off, then you can continue eating. And nirdemu, and if they fell asleep for real, lo yochlu, then they wouldn't be able to. Now, what's interesting here is a couple of things. First, Abaye he's having the Seder by Rabbah. Abaye was a yosem, so he spent much time eating by Rabbah. So it makes sense that this is when we are talking about, says the Rashbam, and he sees that he is falling asleep. Now this is after the Churban Abayis, so the concern of falling asleep, what exactly would that be? So maybe this includes not just Pesach but matzah as well. Maybe you wouldn't be able to eat the matzah, the zeicher Pesach, if you fell asleep, or if you fell asleep for real. And you see that according to the Rashbam, that what we're talking about here is that even though Rabbah was Abaye was awake, Rabbah was the one that was falling asleep, and Abaye was saying to him, no, wake up, otherwise you wouldn't be able to continue eating, which is the chumrah of Rabbi Yossi according to the Rashbam against the Tanakama. The Tosfos understands this also differently, is that this story did not happen on Leil HaSeder. The story was happening at the beginning of a tainus, meaning we're just trying to define or to illustrate what falling asleep means versus what dozing off means, as opposed to telling us that this happened on a Leil HaSeder. The Tosfos says that this was happening on the night before a tainus, where if you fell asleep without having in mind that you were going to eat the next morning, you aren't able to wake up early and eat the next morning. The tainus starts if you fall asleep, so long as you didn't make a tanai that I'm going to wake up the next morning. And that's what he was talking about here. But according to the Tosfos, what Rabbi Yossi is adding is a kula to the Tanakama, that Rabbi Yossi says nisnamnu, that if everybody dozed off, then everybody would be able to continue eating. But if everybody fell asleep, then everybody would not be able to continue eating. And that is the machlokes here between the Rashbam and the Tosfos, depending on how you understand the timing of the story of Abaye and Rabbah over here. Okay, says the Gemara, quoting from the Mishnah, HaPesach achar chatzos, the Pesach after Chatzos is going to impurify one's hands. So, Alma mechatzos, Alma. This implies mechatzos havele noisa, that from Chatzos and onwards, this would be noisa. Hold on a second. So, how long do you have to eat your Korban Pesach? Ma'antana, who exactly would the Tana of the Mishnah be? Amar Rav Yosef. This Rav Yosef says must be Rabbi Elazar ben Azari. That's the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azari that we saw in Maseches Brachos, and we've seen already at the beginning of Maseches Pesachim. This the famous sheet of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who holds the Tanya, v'achlu es habasar b'layla hazeh, you will eat the basar of the Korban Pesach on this night. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, Nemar kan b'layla hazeh v'nemar halon v'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim b'layla hazeh. It says b'layla hazeh and b'layla hazeh. B'layla hazeh with regards to eating Korban Pesach, and b'layla hazeh with regards to makas b'charis. Ma'ala halon ad chatzos, just like there, Baruch Hu meant until midnight. I will pass through Mitzrayim until, meaning at the moment of midnight. Avkan ad chatzos, so to here until chatzos. That's the time of the Achilas Korban Pesach is only up until Makas B'charis time. Amalai Rabbi Akiva says to them, V'halai nemar chipasan. Didn't it say that they left in a hurry? Right? That you have to eat it in a hurry. Ad shas chipasan, until the time of being in a hurry, which was the morning. Imkain, if this is so, so what's the balayla that the pasuk is talking about? Maybe you would think that it would be like kachim, that you could eat it in the daytime as well. Therefore, the pasuk tells you balayla that has to be eaten at that night. Balayla hu nechal ve'enu nechal bayom. It has to be eaten at night and not eaten during the day, which you would normally have thought by all other kachim. Certainly, as we'll see by kachim kalim like shalamim, you can eat it for much longer than that. Says the Gemara, we've explained what balayla means, that you have to eat it at night according to Rabbi Akiva. But according to Rabbi Akiva, what does balayla hazeh mean? So balayla hazeh, my avilei, mi balayla, he needs it, limi'ute layla acher hu da'asa. It's coming to exclude a night that comes afterwards. So I would have thought, since Pesach kachim kalim, that Pesach is kachim kalim. like it's a shlamim, effectively. Shlamim kachim kalam, and shlamim is also kachim kalam. Ma shlamim nechalim mishnei yomim v'layla echad, just like shlamim is eaten for 2 days and 1 night. A Pesach oikim leilos bimkaim yomim. With regards to the Pesach, we will establish that the nighttime is in the place of the daytime. Like we say, Laila kayom yair in the piyut at the end of the Haggadah, the Laila kayom yair, that the nighttime was like a daytime. That when we left Yetzias Mitzrayim that night, it felt like it was daytime. There's many rayas that the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim is like the daytime. So Oikim Laila is b'makam yom. So the nighttime will be in the place of the daytime. And then maybe we would say you eat it the whole of Leil HaSeder, and then the whole of the next day, and then the whole of the next night. That we're going to flip night and day, and you would still be able to eat it for the same 36-hour period, effectively. So Kasav Rahman has that. Therefore, the Torah has to tell you that Balayla Hazeh, you are going to eat the Korban Pesach, and not that it's going to be going for 36 hours like a regular shlamim. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Amalach. What about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? He's going to say like this: Milois Asiru ad Boker Nafka. Nafka. I learned that that you can only eat it that night, and that it's not going to go for another 36 hours. Meaning he holds only 6 hours. So for another 30 hours. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, how does he know that? So he says, I know that from the din lo yisiru ad boker, that you're not allowed to leave it until morning. Rabbi Akiva, he also has that pasuk in his Torah. So Amalach, he'll say to you, Iloi kasav Rachman hazeh, if not for the fact that the Torah said the word hazeh, I would have said my boker sheni, that the boker that's written in the Torah is the next morning, meaning I eat it the whole of the first night. I can eat the leftovers the whole of the first day, and then eat the whole of Matzei Pesach in Eretz Yisrael, right? The whole until the morning of the first day of Chol Hamoed in Eretz Yisrael, you'd be able to eat the Korban Pesach, and that's the boker. Let's then write boker means boker sheni, and that's the chiddush that regular kachim wouldn't be eaten, meaning you only have a day and a night and a day. So here we'd have a night and a day and a night, and then you can't eat it past the morning. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, what's he going to say? He would say, any time that you have boker in the Torah, it means the first boker already. So I know that it must be talking about that. And by this we reach an impasse, right? Meaning everybody can effectively explain the psukim in according to the way that they would like to explain it. So how do we paskin halacha lemaisa? So this is interesting, and this is where it comes out with the famous Tanai of the Avnei Nezer. Says the Avnei Nezer would seem to be that according to Rabbi Akiva, where you have the whole night, and according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, that you only have until Chatzos. So the question then is, well, what happens if you are getting close to Chatzos and you haven't yet eaten your afikomen? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about your afikomen? So it says the Avnei Nezer. So then you can make it tonight. You can say, if the halacha is like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, then I will eat my afikomen now. Good. Once you've eaten your afikomen, as long as it's before Chatzos, don't have anything after that until when? Until after the zman of the Achilas Korban Pesach, which would be at Chatzos. At that moment, good. Now I can continue my meal. And if the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, so then the halacha would be that I have it until morning, and then I can say, no problem. I would be able to eat my afikomen again. You can eat the afikomen again. As long as you're willing to have two afikomens, you can continue having your seder the whole night, because then you've satisfied both the opinion of Rabbi Akiva and the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. This was the Brisker Rav's opinion, and this when I sat by Rav Lachman Seder, he told me that this was Rav Hutner's shita as well, and that's what we did at his Seder. There were many, however, that did not like this svar, and we'll see why in a moment. Amar Rava says, "Achal matzah bisman hazeh, achar chatzos." If you ate matzah bisman hazeh after chatzos, the Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah liyazi yidei chavasa. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, you have not fulfilled your obligation. Pshita, that's obvious. Given the it le Pesach, since it is connected to Pesach, ke Pesach dami, it is like Pesach. What would you have said? Ha afke kra mehekesha. The Torah removed the connection, meaning since we know that Pesach bisman hazeh is Pesach doesn't exist bisman hazeh until the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, and matzah is a chiyuv de araisa even bisman hazeh. So maybe you would say that if you ate matzah bisman hazeh, meaning you ate your one kazayis of matzah only after chatzos, you had that as your afikomen, you're not yotzei yedei chavasa. That the din is Dechi adhari kra, when the pasuk connected it, lemilsa kamaisa adhari, the Torah reconnected it to its original obligation, meaning that when the Torah says that you must eat the Pesach bizman hazeh, from the pasuk be'erev tachlis matzos, that means that it re-establishes its time zone in accordance with the Korban Pesach as it once was. It's not that it's a new mitzvah; it is reconnecting it to the Korban Pesach. It's a very lamdish svara to see already in the Gemara, but it's reconnecting it to its original institution, which was to be eaten with the Korban Pesach as a Korban Pesach, which is why it is eaten in place of the Korban Pesach bisman hazeh. The question is, according to Rabbi Akiva, does he hold that you should eat the Korban Pesach until the morning? Or maybe Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion, no, even though I hold that you should, like we have in the first Mishnah of Shas in the beginning of Maseches Brachos, that every time that the Chachamim said that you should, that you can do a mitzvah the whole night, you should finish it at Chatzos. And this was the, if I'm not saying, Dayan Weiss's disagreement. In the Minchas Yitzchak, with this svara of the Avnei Nezer, he says, according to Rabbi Akiva, he also thinks that you should do it before Chatzos, and therefore, maybe you would fulfill the obligation according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, but according to Rabbi Akiva, you haven't. According to Rabbi Akiva, he also thinks you should do it until before Chatzos. You should finish your Seder before Chatzos, finish Afikomen at least before Chatzos, and then there's a famous Torah of Rav Pam. Rav Pam says that we should do this because of the sensitivity that we need to have for all of the wives and the women that have slaved over making a Seder, to rush through Shulchan Aruch in order to get to Afikomen, that's not the batam. That wouldn't be, so we felt that we should hold like the opinion of the Avnei Nezer, because sensitivity to the people that have prepared the meal. Everybody prepares the Divrei Torah, but the people that prepare the meal, they need to have their part of the Seder certainly taken just as seriously, if not more so. And we will leave it at that for this evening, and we'll continue with the Hapikal V'Hanoisar tomorrow, as we get onto the very last daf of Maseches Pesachim. Looking forward, to our Siyum, which is going to be at the Seltzers on Thursday night. Details are in the chat, and looking forward, Hashem, to starting Shkolim already on Wednesday, and Hashem should bless us to continue to learn, to grow up Michael Al Chayil, and we will see you back in Boca